Hello everyone, my name is Zelda Kelly. I'm with PsychicSecrets.com and welcome to the series, The Great 78. I always look forward to coming over here and talking to you about the cards, and especially, every time that I go through this, I learn something myself, and I think that it's a good refresher course. I've been doing this for years. You may have guessed that, or you may not have, but I love teaching others what I know about the cards. And you can go back and refer to this, and I will link the playlist right up here for you to be able to refresh your memory so far what we have done. We're starting at the Fool, and we worked our way over now to the Chariot. Last card we did was the Lovers, and that was a very interesting card in itself. So without further ado, and without me knocking my camera around, most likely, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so without making you any more dizzy, let's get started. This is what happens when you record and you gotta flow, you just gotta keep going. I know that you understand that. Now, even though this is the 8th card in the deck, the Fool starts out with the 0. This is called the key, and right here it is the number 7 in the series. So with the number 7 being the key, that is a very, very good indication. I love the 7. It's a good biblical number. But let's get started with more in-depth about the card. The color associated with this card, the Chariot, is an orange yellow, and the Hebrew letter is a Cheth, which is C-H-E-T-H. The meaning of this card can mean either a fence or a field, and most likely a boundary. And the letter number associated with, because it is the 8th card in the deck, is the number 8. Astrologically speaking, this is a watery card. It's a water sign card, and it associates with Cancer. And I love this part for you musicians out there. The card associates with a D sharp. I love this, don't you? I wonder what that sounds like when you play all of these sounds together as you get into it. I wonder what song that would be. So, the attributes of this card are speech, will, it requires cultivation, location, and the mastery of your thoughts and your language. And you're going to see why that is the way it is very, very quickly as we get into this. Now, the Chariot basically means that we are driven. We're driven to pursue our goals. We have willpower. We use the Chariot to polarize our life and also to explore our divine mysteries of life. I love this. The Charioteer, so that is what this man here in the Chariot is referred to. That is his position, is a charioteer. He experiences the wonders of the universe while he is still safely in his chariot. So let's get to this. The stones, basically, as this, basically, let me see here. I want to get started here. Right, we're at the good place here. The stone pillars. So it's right here. The stone pillars here that you see. Now, I would have never guessed early on that they were stone, but they are. And it suggests that you live, or that we live, in a material world, right? And now we can interpret that there is a correlation between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And this actually resembles the unconscious. So the Chariot hides the charioteer's bottom half in the way that our conscious, our conscious or our unconscious mind is hidden from us. That's pretty deep, isn't it? And when you think about it, we can't really measure our minds. Our brains we can, our minds we cannot. And that is the message here. The gray of the stone reiterates the great throne of the emperor that we talked about, and the gray columns of the Hierophant. So it basically means that this charioteer has an unbiased journey forward. I love this. So he stands upright. He commands the chariot. And I want you to know something I never even realized until maybe a few years ago. But these sphinx are not attached to the chariot. And if you see a different version of this card, in many decks you'll see horses or you'll see whatever the case may be, but they have them attached to the chariot. And this particular Rider-Waite deck, I believe this is, they are not attached to the chariot. We're going to get to that in a minute. So the charioteer represents the unconscious, and the chariot represents the unconscious, and the charioteer represents the subconscious. This is our experience. As he moves, as we move the chariot throughout the world, throughout our life, we move our bodies based on what we feel our actions are. That is such a great expression about the conscious and the subconscious mind. Our thoughts become things. So if you have a thought in the subconscious mind, you basically use that to move throughout the world through your conscious mind. The charioteer holds a wand in one hand. You see this right here. He holds this wand in a hand. This is really, I'm going to say, a throwback to the magician, because he represents the manifestation of the will and moves the chariot through magic. So how is this moving through magic? Well, those sphinx aren't connected to the chariot, and yet they move. This wand is a conduit for his conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So it connects both of those. I love it, right? Okay, so these are moons on the charioteer's shoulders. I just thought a long time ago that was part of his uniform. I love the star on his head too. But the moons, basically one is crying. If you look really close, you see one is crying and one is laughing. That means there's comedy and tragedy in life, in our life experience, and they will reveal what is yet to come and grow into a full moon. So that means you come full circle within your conscious and your subconscious mind. Now this is getting pretty deep, isn't it? But it's so helpful when we pull this card out. I love it. Now on this other part right here, this is called the charioteer's crest, or the chariot's crest. It is a symbol that represents both male and female. And like the lover's card before this, the crest illustrates the balance of the genders. It equally feeds into the grayness of the chariot, which is the subconscious of the mind. Interesting, right? So now let's get to these fellows here. It's almost the same as the high priestess, because you have one black, one white. Together they form gray, just like the Hierophant, but this is more, I'm going to say, compared to the high priestess cards. They are the yin and yang. They point in opposite directions, and yet the charioteer finds it very equal to move these in the charioteer's will. They are not attached, and that is the mystery that the charioteer and we as a charioteer of our own life explore. Interesting, right? So the city and the background here, you see the city and the nature's background. This is the emperor's city, and the nature is, it is representative of the Empress. So, like everything in the tarot deck, it all fits together, and there is a union in opposites. It's interesting, right? The Emperor and the Empress are very opposite, and you can find that in the series when we went through both of those cards. So the great thing is that the charioteer is very attentive what's behind him. And that's what we need to do when we pull this card. We need to see what is behind us so we have a good informed decision about how to be and move forward. Because, you know, our past forms us. It doesn't mean that we have to dwell in the past, but it forms us. And that way we can navigate what is in front of us, and he navigates in front of him. Now, the upright position of the Magician and the Empress, if you combine those two, you would get the Chariot. Isn't that interesting? The upright Chariot really just means the power of the will. What path are you going to take? What area are you going to go to? How are you going to navigate this between your conscious and your subconscious mind? Will you be bold in your decision making? Will you venture out into the unknown? Will you have confidence? Will you not have confidence? When you're reading, all the surrounding cards will help form those questions and lead you into what the message will be. You're using creative faculties, and basically when you pull this card, it means that you've never been smarter, never been sharper, and it means that your passion is heightened, and also to seize the day. I love that. Now, as you know, I don't do upside down or reverse meanings, but I'm going to cover that for those that do. If you see a chariot, it is a green light, okay? So this means go for it. Strike out, take the adventure. Do it with passion. Do it with all of your will. But if you see a reverse chariot, the light is yellow. That means caution. It means slow down. Make sure that you have all of the facts. Make sure that you know exactly what you're doing and where you're navigating. Maybe you've gotten off course, and maybe things seem like you're backpedaling a little bit. Maybe you should do that to see where things have gone wrong. And when you pull that out, and if it is in reverse, you can tell your customer or your client or even yourself that you better start reflecting on what's gone on so you can stop right there and fix it. Sometimes we don't realize that we have external forces that prevent us from proceeding as well. So this reverse will help with the surrounding cards to resolve it, identify it, and move either over it, around it, or through it. I love that, okay? This is a very interesting card. I love pulling this out. Normally I interpret this as you've got a decision to make because you've got a two-path, but when you can get really, really deep, when you're doing a full reading, this chariot will tell exactly what direction your client is going. I love this. So the next time you visit on the Great 78, we're going to be talking about the Strength card, that infinity symbol. Can't talk today, but thank you very much for listening anyway. The infinity symbol, the lion, the terrain, and what this whole entire card means for us going forward in our journey of the Great 78. So I want to thank you today for listening and tuning in. I love it when you come here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I think that the Chariot is very, very good for us going forward and even has a message for us today. Seize the day. Heighten your passion. You're going to make it through. Thanks so much for watching. and I will see you again next time. Have a great week.